Shanti.
Thank you, madam. Now I request Sushma.
Sir, just give me 1 moment. It's
Oh.
going live on YouTube. We can start.
Okay, madam. Thank you. Sushma, madam, you can do the welcome speech.
Yes, sir. I'll do that. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Sneha. Welcome all of you for the session of 3 of AI disruption in software careers, how to stay ahead. This is organized by AVOPA Engineers Committee. We have industry leader Sushma Pradeep, CTO at Velar Analytics, Nandan PD, software technical leader at Cisco Systems with us. If you have attended earlier sessions, you would have already known their expertise by now. However, I'll take few minutes to introduce them briefly to you. Sushma is CTO at Velar Analytics, comes with 3 decades of vast experience with her. She is a hands-on builder at her mindset. She is power user of modern AI coding tools like Codex and Claude. And she is very enthusiastic leader, driving AI adoption at strategy level, including implementation. At Valor Analytics, she is currently leading transformation of their platform into an agentic AI-driven system. I'm excited to learn more from her today in this session, more practical knowledge about AI. Welcome, Sushma from AVOPA organization and AVOPA Charitable Trust. We have another speaker, Nandan PD. He's our mastermind behind these sessions. And he comes with vast industry experience of 23 years in networking and telecom domain. His current work is building AI-driven deep agents in the real-time network analysis. Of course, it's worth to mention he is being a promoter of AI in his team, and he uses AI tools in his daily activities, and he is capitalizing the power of AI at work. Warm welcome, Mr. Nandan from AVOPA and AVOPA Charitable Trust. I'll take another moment to welcome all of you to the session. This is a beautiful sessions which are conducted by AVOPA, and I welcome our AVOPA Executive Committee, AVOPA Trust, along with AVOPA President and Vice Presidents. Welcome to all of you for the session. Without further delay, I'll hand over to Sushma to take us through the exciting journey of practical in using AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Sneha. I'll just take a moment here. If the participants have any questions during the entire session, you just need to raise the hand at the appropriate time. One of us will, give an option for you to unmute, and you can ask the question directly to the speakers. Okay, thank you.
Well, Sushma, madam, you can continue.
Okay. Hello. Hi. Good morning, everyone. You can all hear me clearly, right?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Let me just share my screen.
Madam, sometimes it is going a little low. If you can just increase your throat volume a little bit. Sorry for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so today's workshop will be hands-on coding using AI tools. Okay. So in this workshop, what I plan to do is I plan to develop a to-do app. Okay. So to-do app is basically as the name suggests, it's like a hello world of for AI. So we will develop a to-do app. We will use Next.js in the front end, and we will use Next.js. Basically, it will be end-to-end Next.js app, and I'll be using Cursor ID for that. Basically, Cursor is a AI tool, and I'll be using Cursor ID for that. So, and this app will have, it will be a full stack app. So it will have a front end, it will have a back end, and there will be APIs which we will be calling in the backend. Because this is a demo app, we will be storing the to-dos in memory. It can be easily extended to use any database. Okay. And in addition to the code, we will also generate tests. We'll generate both unit tests, which in typically Next.js will be in Jest, and we will also develop end-to-end tests, which will be using Playwright. I will encourage whoever have a laptop and whoever have the means to it, if you can, develop alongside. But if not possible, you can always refer back to the YouTube video later and code it at your own pace. So let's get started. So the first thing is, we need to, as I was saying, I will be using cursor ID. So installing the cursor ID. So for that, so this is the prompt. I mean, it's straightforward. And
Ma'am, one small request. Maybe you can just introduce what is cursor, a 30-second intro.
Okay. So cursor is basically, I would say it is a tool, and it is like if any of you have used any IDE, it could be Visual Studio or IntelliJ. So cursor is similar to those IDs. In fact, cursor is built over Visual Studio. Using cursor, you can talk to agent where you can put your prompts and it will execute those prompts and develop a project for you. That is high level what I can explain. Nandan, would you want to add anything to that?
I think that should be good, ma'am. Essentially, it is a Visual Studio based one, and there's a plugin they have developed where it interacts with the models behind the scenes, and it maintains the context behind the scenes, so that it will help you to develop faster. I mean, I think Sushma ma'am summarized it really well. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, when I open the cursor ID, few things I will show. Basically, just to add to what Nandan was saying, he was talking about models in the backend. So if you run it in the auto mode, based on the query, based on your request, it will pick up the appropriate model. Having said that, it also provides you an option to say use this particular model, and it comes with its own credits. As in, of course, you have to pay for it. But if those credits are not enough, if you want to use your own codex or Claude Code credits, you can do that as well.
Ma'am, in case if you are sharing, we are still seeing a browser.
Yeah. You're able to see. I'm sharing Gemini where I'm going to put this.
Yes,
I am able to see.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
able to see, madam, where you are captured on this one.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry for interruption. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, so we will just ask Gemini on how to install Cursor IDE and how to start using free credits. So I guess we all know AI has made it very easy. So we just it says go to this website, and then based on your operating system, download the respective file. So we go to that website. I think I will run. No, I think it's giving this because I have already installed it. So let me just go to Cursor Downloads website. So here you will see that you can download for Linux and for Mac. And in fact, it also has an option where you can directly develop on web, meaning yeah, they provide platform as a service, so you can develop directly in the Cursor cloud as well. Okay, so I will not really download it as of now because it depends upon what OS you have, but it is very simple and straightforward. You download, you install it. So let's continue assuming that, okay, we have installed it. Okay, So I have installed it, and let me open. So once you install, this is how it will look. People who have used Visual Studio, you will feel at home because it is developed over Visual Studio. So as I was saying, you will have an option. When you open it, you will get this panel where you can enter your prompts and discuss with the AI agent. Okay, so our goal today is to develop a to-do app. So we will take this prompt. And we will tell it to do whatever is mentioned here. So what is the prompt? I'm saying that create a full stack Next.js to do app. What it should have: add, edit, delete functionality. You should use APIs for it. Full CRUD operation should be provided as an API. You use in-memory storage for data, for storing data. You should have a very simple, clean user interface. You develop unit tests for jest, and you develop end-to-end tests. So this is the instructions. Okay, so I'll run this and let's see what it does. It is very interesting to see what it is doing internally. So I'm not running in autonomous mode, so it will keep asking you for permissions. But if you run it in autonomous mode, uh, then it will just run without checking for permissions. But I would advise you to not do that, at least till you're confident what it is doing and you really have a very clear picture on it. It is better you monitor what it is doing and approve. So it is checking currently because Next.js app means we need npm and npm and node. So it is checking if all of those are there. If it is not finding it, it is installing those things, and it will also install. It is currently installing the npm
Sorry to
packages.
interrupt, Sushma.
Yeah, sure.
Participants are asking if we can share whatever you are typing there onto the chat box also, so that they can also try hands-on when you are trying. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, I'll take care of that. I'll share the PPT in the chat window so people can refer to that. You can continue, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, anyway, I just found. It will take some time because it is installing the packages in the background.
And meanwhile,
So
can I request you, like, what are the options in the agent box at the bottom? What
yeah,
are the models available? And please note that this was an empty project starting from scratch. Not even a single line of code existed. Yeah,
yes.
yes, ma'am.
So yeah, so here the important options are these. In agent, as you can see, you have a plan mode, debug mode, and ask mode. Okay, so plan mode is where it is basically tuned for planning, and we need to do things slightly differently when we are planning something versus debugging something versus when you are in a conversation. So these are the different agents for those type of tasks. And I was telling you that we can the model what we wanted to use. So by default it is in auto. I not toggle it now. If I remove auto, then it will allow you to mention which model to use. Let's see, it is in some settings here tells which model to use. Sorry, I think my machine has become a bit slow. So in case for a minute if I'm offline, if at all it reboots, then please bear with me. That's why it is taking time for me to open.
Maybe while it is loading, I just want to share some points on this. Uh, when we started with these things, I think 1 year ago or 1.5 year ago, the maturity level of these applications were not that good. The code which was generated had compiler issues as well. Many times it was failing, and many times it was like used to handhold everything step by step. But over the time, the way it has developed, things has matured. It's amazingly well. Like maybe 6 months back, we used to review every single line of code it was generating and see if it is aligning with the principles, the design principles, the coding standards, practices, everything we were following. But now it has come to a level where you can just ask what you want to do it using by just prompting. Of course, engineering experience makes a lot of difference in the writing a good code versus bad.
Thanks, Anand. So as you can see now, all the installations are done and it is implementing the code. We can see here what all files it is going on adding. So you just give it a minute to complete. And as Nandan was saying, in fact, if I want to change the model, I will not disturb it currently so that we are not stuck with that. But I can always tell here that toggle back auto and use this model. And in fact, it will go and automatically set that settings in Visual Studio. Personally, I'm always a bit lost in where is my setting, where do I go and set? There are so many options, right? But that also I can ask the agent to go and do that setting for me. So while this is happening, maybe for 1 minute, I will go to one of the other slides about workflows. I'll come back to this later for more detail instead of just waiting for it to complete. So what are workflows? See, typically whatever projects we develop or even small enhancements that we typically follow software engineering steps, right, or practices. That is, first we will plan, then we will design it, then we will implement, then we will test, etc., right? So these days, for with AI, most of the work, critical work, is in defining such workflows. Okay, so for example, in our project, in my company, that is what we have done. We have developed a workflow. Current workflow which I am showing it to you is a project level workflow. I mean, it's a complex workflow. It's from end to end, starting from the project development. So when I say the workflow, what does it involve? It involves writing MD files and scripts. In MD files, we specify what steps need to be taken. It is exactly like how we would tell what are my project practices or what is the workflow that I'm going to follow. So later I will open this ralph.md and show to you that what it consists is. Okay, I will be saying first prepare a plan. Okay, the product plan should be captured in a PRD. It should follow this template. After that, you need to discuss with human and detail out the PRD and make it complete. Then define the stories. Now it's a big project, right? So we need to define epics and stories. So now these epics and stories will be captured in the will be captured in stories file. Then we will be saying that, okay, now you implement. After that, you go through review. Then you Any issues, any findings in review, you fix it. Then you do final review of all the code. Then you do testing. So whatever I said is nothing but a software engineering process, but we will be capturing it in MD file. And after that, once I have this in place, any project I will just say, like for our purpose, we have called it RALPH. I will just say RALPH it, give my high level product requirement. It will take me through all these steps and it will run autonomously and it will generate the complete product. After that, after the to do demo, we will just quickly see what these files look like. Now I'll just switch back to the cursor. So it is writing the test now. Meanwhile, I can ask it, tell me command to uh, run the app. Okay. So it went ahead with writing the test cases, and it is saying that it will write the playwright E2E test cases and it will validate. For a moment, I will tell it, okay, please stop for a moment. So I will say stop and I will then ask it that tell me how to run the app. I am not sure if my laptop will last this session without a reboot.
Ma'am, there's one request. There are non-software
Yeah,
engineers also. Can your explanation
okay.
can cover us also? Okay. Mm, let me give it a shot, ma'am. So, see,
Yeah,
earlier,
sure.
if you want to develop a software end to end, you need a programmer with a software engineering background with a set of experience. In that also, you had various grades like entry level, you had architect level. So without architect, and you also needed a database experts and all these things. Only it was a big team. Only then you could create an application end to end. Now, these tools have simplified it so much. You just need to ask, I want an application so and so like this. Maybe if you want to create a maybe a Swiggy like that, okay, you can also I want to create a food ordering application. I don't know you implement it, but you ask me all the questions. So it will keep asking more and more questions, and you can actually refine the requirements over there. And then finally, it will give you some commands. You execute it, it will be able to implement it and run it also. That is one of the things what we are trying to illustrate. Now, ma'am is trying to create one simple application where it's a to-do application. We just put some instruction. Till now, we have not written any line of code. Uh, and it is doing it behind the scenes. Typically, this application, if a developer had to do it, probably they would have taken 15 days. But now you can see this will be done maybe within a span of half an hour to 45 minutes. Of course, uh, you have to go through iterations wise iterations. If you're a non-software engineer, you can actually ask the chat GPT or these things like, give me prompts where this is my requirement. It will generate, then you can also take a screenshot of it. I don't like this, can you change it so and so? It will understand where it generated, it goes back, fixes it and comes back. So you have to play with it and spend some time to understand. Essentially, the coding skills is no more a very sophisticated thing. It is becoming simpler and simpler with this set of tools. That is why people are talking about threat to the software industry jobs. That is a debatable topic. I don't want to get into it right now. Sorry, please.
Yeah. So if you paid attention, so I had asked cursor that how do I give me the command to run the app. It gave me the command. I copy pasted that, and I have opened the app here on the browser, and you can see that whatever we had asked it, saying that we need a app where I can add a task, to do task, edit it, and we can delete it. I just did the edit also. Okay, but you can see that this is a very bland app. So let's ask it to make it more professional looking. Okay, so let's just modify and enhance our app. Okay, so we will use this prompt for that. Improve UI using Tailwind CSS. So I've put that here, and let me put this here. Once it does that, I will also ask it to, so then we will ask it to add a dark and light mode. So for Tailwind, it needs some NPN plugins, so it is installing those. So while it is doing this, we can quickly see what code it has written, right? So if we used to earlier, when if I am writing the app myself, so I'll have it in this format, right? All of my APIs will be here. So if you look at any, so if we see here, this is the backend where the APIs are defined. So it is, you can see that it is saying get to do, we can see delete, and we can see edit. Okay, and usually what was the key that I said, because it will edit everything, and it will, because we are not running it in autonomous mode, it is asking us to accept all the files that it has implemented. Okay, so it is still doing the task. So we saw how the backend code it has written, right? So similarly, let's see what it has put under lips. So the store is the memory where it is storing all the to-dos. That's we saw here. And then let's see one front end code. So this front end code is all the use effect React code, right? So now let's see, it is more or less done. Let's see if, so we can see that it has a more professional, relatively more professional look now, right? Earlier it didn't have this to-do list, capture tasks like this format. So it is left to our imagination and our need. We can always ask it to do better. So let us now ask it to add dark mode and light mode toggle. So we saw how or what the front end backend code looks like. Now we will see what tests it has written. After it modifies the front end, we will also look at, we will execute the tests and see how they look, how they perform. So it has also written this end-to-end test and the just tests here. it's still work in progress. So we'll just wait for it to complete. Because my machine was slow, I had to close the close the cursor in which I had opened how the Ralph. Sorry, 1 minute. I have problem with my headphones. Just a minute, I will be back. Nandan, you can just maybe cover few things that you wanted to cover.
Sure.
Just a minute, I'll be back.
No worries. Yeah. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, I think she will take some time, Nandan. Anything that you wanted to cover, you can just start off.
Yeah. So right now, Sushma ma'am is trying to create a simple project. The same way, I was actually trying to create one more project where it's called splitwise equal. Uh, the main requirement is like you might have heard the app like a Kata book and all these things. Anytime friends go out together, everyone spends some money and they have to share the expenses, right? So how do you do it? Today, you can directly go install Kata book. We are trying to create a similar application. So what I did was I actually simply asked the chat GPT, hey, I want to create a app so and so like this. Can you give me a high level requirements? So it actually gave me this, whatever you're seeing. Uh, it created epic story, task, and all these things. So people who are comfortable with the Jira task, they know the structure. Epic is the something like a grandparent. Story is at parent level, and task is at a low level. Essentially, it is something like in the past we used to say epic is something like a 1 month work, and story is something like maybe 15 days or 1 week work, and task is something like a 1 day task, something like that. Now it created all these things at a high level. Now I uploaded this into the Jira. Okay, let me to the Jira here. Yeah. So just I started all of this in the today early morning. It's from a blank project. And then let me go to the prompts to elaborate that. So I just added those things uh, into the Jira and I asked, can you elaborate this? Because it was all blank. It was all one-liners actually. Okay, as you see, this is one-liner description. And when I asked it, it did a very beautiful uh, this thing job. It is something like a product manager or a program manager getting into the system and explaining what the behavior should be. So you see all these things, description, it has added for the entire project as it is. Okay. So I see Sushma ma'am is back, but I'll just take it to one logical conclusion, then hand it over to Sushma ma'am. Right. So calculate balances, so and so. Then I actually asked, okay, it has created so many things. And then I asked, can you organize it into a parent-child relationship? Okay, so forget this. Then you can come here. Can you organize all these existing epic stories and logically? Currently, all are independent, organize it logically into a parent-child. So it did a very beautiful task. Like this is an epic and this is the story. And under below that, probably some tasks would have come. Okay. So what is that we are trying, we have done right now is that generally a typical program manager or a product manager will put all the requirements into a Jira, and basically they take a lot of time to think through and add it. The same thing, we were able to do it in maybe half an hour to 1 hour. So it is accelerating the overall development cycle in the initial stages. So far, we have captured this requirements. Then I'll touch upon how to, I'll also go through the prompts, how the project got started from the scratch and how we proceed further. It is a half-baked one. We'll try to complete it in this session. So for now, I'll just pause. Ma'am, are you good to take over or how is it?
Nandan, you can complete your this one explanation. Sushma madam, let us take at the end. No problem, no. So that yours also will become Ours also will become halfway. Anyhow, it has been perfectly stopped. Now you can complete your full cycle. Then
Sure.
madam can continue.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So then I actually created a new thread. So this is a codex, what I'm using. Codex is from this OpenAI guys, and they are strongly, they only give you ChatGPT equivalent models. Today, there are two different streams. Basically, from the last 1 year, you could see for coding, by default, everybody was going with Anthropic Claude models. Claude Sonnet was one of the popular. GPT 5.1 made a huge difference. They have, and they from then people started switching to GPT as well, and there are hardcore fans of Claude as well as hardcore fans of GPT. Uh, in this codex, they came up with an application which is dedicated with GPT. I don't think they will allow their competitor models here. Okay. The latest one is the GPT 5.5, which is a damn good one, which is where you just provide an instruction. You don't have to worry about the syntax or this thing, but you should only guide it at the architecture level. So first thing I did, okay, I captured all the requirements. Then I said, okay, can you create a project structure, implementation request? Okay, maybe let me zoom it here. I would like to implement this project. The docs contains overall architecture. Okay, before I went there, what I did was I requested, can you create a Confluence page explaining the high-level architecture diagram? This is the technology stack I want to use. React, Node.js, Express, so and so, everything. Typically, in every project before you do, your architecture team and everyone decides what is the best thing to use, and they take a call, and this is where the input you give. It tried, but since this is not my office laptop, there are some settings issues, and it said, okay, I'm not able to, 403 forbidden. So I asked, can you create these documents inside a project folder in my own system? So it created these two documents. Okay, let me see this. Yeah. Okay. So it talks about end-to-end flow and a high-level architecture diagram. So let me open this. The high level is the browser will talk in the user will access the browser and makes a request to the React component in the front end. It makes a HTTP request. There's a REST API service, and you have a controller behind that. There is a services. So it's somewhat like an MVC model where you have controller. This is, you can say, view, and behind this you have a repositories and you have a SQL database. It has put a beautiful architecture diagram, and this is the flow it has. Then whatever I had given only one line sentences. Okay, front end what it should be, SPM a single page application, and the back end what it should be a Node.js, and how the MVC should be, everything. So my one line requirements is translated into a more descriptive thing. Assuming you assume this person is like an architect. Okay, and you ask him to do something, let's say a program manager or product manager says, I want something so and so and so. What does the product manager architect do? He'll put some systems in place and he starts thing. That part is done in this case. So overall life cycle, everything has come along with the overall project end-to-end flow, what it should be and everything. Then I said, okay, I want to start implementing. It's a blank project. Okay, I'd like to implement this project. The docs folder, which contains the architecture, can you create a high-level project structure for? Then it went through, it understood everything. Then it created this overall structure. Basically, front end, a folder package, back end, and inside that server, routes, and a README. And it also added this API health, where when the application is running, generally in the microservices, the underlying services will keep checking whether your application is up or not. Basically, your containers are up or not. If not, it'll respin it. So for those things, these are all standard best practices. I didn't explicitly say this. This automatically is done or added into this. And it also gave me what are the commands I need to run, npm run backend, front end. Basically, a front end server is getting started and a backend server will get started. So it created this complete folder structure. So I'll just quickly go through this. You can see this is the docs where we created the diagrams, and then in the application you have front end and the back end. And in the front end, it also created a env.sample file. Where is it here? I just need to change it. This is the router and this is the main server, middleware, database. How beautifully I just asked it to create a folder structure. Don't create any code base. Okay. And models. These are all the best practices, industry best practices. Generally, what happens, these things are done by your architect in your team, or maybe the senior most leader, and they give you strict guidelines. You need to do this way only, or this way, this has to go so and so. All these things are in place now. Okay, and any common things will get into utils. And then let me go to this. Yeah, it also created a test folder as best practice. Now I need to start implementing it. Okay, this I actually started saying, okay, create a GitHub repo. It ended up in a bad because I had to configure this. So I started creating a GitHub account and all those things. It ended up, it's with a couple of errors. Probably it'll take some time. But if you're in a company project, these things are already in place for you. So you just have to start using it. So how is this Codex able to do that? Or able to talk to the Jira and all those things is through this plugins. When you come to plugins, these are all, you can say for Jira or Rovo. There's something called Rovo Atlassian. This is nothing but an agent developed by the Atlassian company, where basically the Jiras, whatever you talk about, and the Confluence you talk about, both are from Atlassian. So I just installed it and configured it and authenticated it so it can go and access my Jira account. So the simplest way I could say is maybe I'll come to one of the Jiras and say, I'll copy this link. Right now it is showing some description. I'll ask the Jira, the Codex, can you help? Okay, let me do this way. I will not type, I will dictate. Hello Codex. The below Jira description is very minimal. Can you add more description as an end user? I want to, if possible, can you add a diagram, maybe a wireframe? So my voice was captured and it got translated using the NLP by the Codex. And now the instruction is come. It is something like whatever, instead of typing, I'm asking it. Okay. So since I said below, it look at below, I'm pasting it here. I'm going to ask. Now you see, it is just was couple of maybe around 10 lines of description, and it is thinking. I'll rewrite from an end user perspective, including simple visual flows with a low fidelity wireframes. So it started thinking, and it is making a MCP call. MCP call, while this is doing, I want to touch upon what is an MCP. Failed to load MCP, so and so, fine. Fine, it will fix it on its own. This is something which we didn't cover in the past. So typically in a normal enterprise applications, many of you might have heard REST APIs. REST APIs is typically for integrating two different systems. Most of the times within your application, a front end versus back end, something like this. Or maybe if you have an application and exposing some APIs, your customer wants to consume it, so you expose the REST APIs. That means a REST API specification will have a set of API descriptions, input parameters and output parameters, and also a brief description what this API does. So if me as a client, I want to use this REST API, what I'll do, I'll go through this specification, understand, okay, there are 10 APIs. API 1 performs so-and-so action, API 2 will perform so-and-so action. Based on my requirement, I'll consume 2-3 APIs, invoke the right parameters, and achieve my functionality. Now, this has been a de facto standard for maybe in the last more than a decade in the enterprise application integrations. When the LLM comes, LLM doesn't understand REST. So that's where a new thing came up called MCP. So what they say is, initially how it evolved is something like this. Every model started giving its own SDK, and people have to write their own SDK and start implementing to interact with the model. Then Anthropic released a standardized standards called Model Context Protocol. If you adhere to this, very similar to REST is a specification, MCP is a specification of a protocol. You adhere to this, all models can start talking to each other. So once Anthropic standardized this protocol, and their model started implementing. It happened in November 2024, if I remember. Within 2 to 3 months, all other models started implementing, and it became one of the most popular one. In 2025 year was, people say it was a year of MCP. So we still remember in our offices, it was like MCP hackathons were started. Like every project who has some APIs, they expose an MCP server. So that's how it got started. Essentially, your LLM, if there is an MCP server sitting in front of your application, your LLM model can talk to your application and get the responses, interpret the response, and do it autonomously. Okay, so that is MCP I just wanted to touch upon, and before we come back. Awesome. So this one has completed the task, whatever we have given. It says I have updated the SE10. Let's open. So, okay. You see, in the past one, we didn't have this, the old one, it was just some 10 lines of description. Whereas here, it says a sample example. Okay, maybe a UI like Goa trip, the total spend was 12,400, you owe to 1,250, something like this. And then so on, you should pay so and so, so and so and so. So what is this done? What has it done? This is the task generally a product manager comes up with. Okay, I want an application like this. These are the fields it should be. This is how the content should be visible. All these tasks are automatically done. And you can see it has thought through a lot of it, and it has come up with this thing. Now, I can, as a developer or maybe a product manager, I have to spend some time to refine it, because it can come up with something. Okay, next time I ask the same question, it will come up with a different screen, because that's where its creativity is. Okay, we call it as the temperature in the LLM model fine tuning. So here you have to refine it. No, I want the maybe balance to be up and this one to the bottom. And this is more of a maybe power users. I don't want very descriptive, or maybe this is for a non-technical users. I want a very detailed description. These are the things people spend a lot of time. This wireframe is created maybe in a couple of minutes, but we spend more than half a day to refine it, how the end product should look like. This is where your team debates, discusses, and finalizes. Okay, now you see the code generation, or sorry, this wireframe generation task is accelerated. So now you can spend more time in the creating a better product and what makes it a successful one. So your mental cycles, you can utilize it there, then focus on implementing these parts. Okay, and it also came up with an acceptance criteria, and it says flow diagram, how it should be. Basically, you open a group and click on the balances, then it calculates for every member. Let's say 3 members went to a Goa trip, and for each of them, it is showing this is way. Okay, so I come back to this. It has done. So in this way, we go every story by story in the Jira and try to finalize thing. And then we can actually look at, is everything fine? Then we say, okay, we want to go ahead and start implementing. Right. Let me go to this. Elaborate, create project structure is done. What I will do is I'll trigger a prompt to start implementing this. It will take its own time, maybe a half an hour or 1 hour, maybe 15 minutes to half an hour it can span. Then I'll hand over to Sushma ma'am for her this thing. Okay, so I'll create a new chat. Sorry, this is a new chat. Okay. Can you implement the project maybe. Okay, why do I say? I'll say dictate. Maybe you can first start with the front end module. I want it to be in a runnable state. Assume the backend is hard-coded values for now. We will implement the backend module later. And I want to test the front-end module end to end. So my voice instruction has been captured here. So this is where it makes a lot of difference. When you're giving an instruction, there's a huge difference between a fresh grad giving an instruction, whereas a person with a mid-level experience versus an architect giving an experience. So you are asking, I'm clearly asking, setting the boundary, saying that, okay, I don't want to implement end-to-end. You just create me a front end, back end should be hard-coded. Okay. Then once it develops, I go through all the code, test it out end to end. Once I'm happy with this, then I'll say, okay, can you implement the backend? And for the backend, I would say use test code to generate the REST API validations. And then maybe as a third step, I say I want to integrate front end and the back end. So you saw in the previous case when Sushma madam was doing it. So that was a simple project where you are asking it to develop end to end. But when you're doing a big project where the scope is high, the recommended steps is you actually break it down and ask it to do module by module. Why is it important? Because the biggest constraint for any LLM model is that the context window or the context size, they say. So it cannot, a human can remember maybe from their childhood till now, including all the memories as well as their complete project, what all things developed over the years, everything, whereas an LLM cannot remember. That is its weakness. So it is something like a short-term memory loss, you can say. I mean, you give anything a clear-cut instruction, it can remember for that period of time. Once it is done, it's done and dusted. Okay. So once you understand the behavior of this LLM, that's where you can utilize it to your max. Basically, you give step-by-step instruction and it will do a wonderful job. Okay. So I'll click go ahead and I'm going to select a medium level now. Intelligence. You can see the intelligence level. There are 3 levels, extra high, and there are also 5.4 and old models. Typically, for any coding thing, we use a hyphen codex. Okay, let me use that codex and mid-level for this task. For a simple task like creating a description, updating Jira, I use low because it will consume less number of tokens. Medium takes a little higher, and high is where I want to come up with a design or architecture or troubleshooting. That's where we use high. And when in debugging complicated things or maybe creating a complex architecture or you want to debate with it, that's where I go with extra high. When we say extra high, the number of tokens consumed is high, the cost is high. You have paid for a subscription and that has a limited set of tokens. Of course, there are different kind of subscriptions. There are something like monthly subscription with a quota limit and so on. So right now I'll go ahead with this and click. It may take a couple of minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes. I'll hand it over to Sushma ma'am. Is that okay, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, let me share my screen. Sorry about the hiccup. So last when we left, I had given the instruction that change the mode, toggle between dark and light mode, add that. That is what I had given. So it continued executing, and now we can see that that is done. Right. So now it has the task, and it is in the 2 modes it has added. So this is how powerful it is, like that a complete end-to-end app developed in what, just 5 minutes, and it is all you needed was to give instructions, right? So now what I will do is that we will execute the test cases. Okay, so let me just, so here I have asked it how to run the test cases. Okay, so this is the command that we need to run. So we will execute the, so you can see it is editing, deleting, adding, mainly 4 test cases it is executing. It already completed the execution. Now let's see the report. So we can see it is typical end-to-end browser testing, where what all tests it did and what was the all of them passed. But frankly speaking, when I was doing it, I had a hiccup. It was failing all of these things. So if you see, it's, I asked it that why the test cases have failed, and I asked it to fix it. The issue was that it didn't have the libraries installed, and that is why it installed and it continued. Okay, you can see in the history that I had this bug, and it I had the bug and it fixed it and it continued. So these days, anything that we need to do, it is like our personal assistant, somebody who is always ready to guide and help us to complete our work fast. So this is the end of to do app and the test cases. Now I would like to move on with the workflow that I was talking about earlier. So the workflow, so when do I use it? If I have a project, I will just, maybe just quickly I will try to run it and show what it will do.
Sushma madam, please unmute the video, madam.
Okay. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, madam.
I'm just showing what ralfit, that command, does. So let's get into the details of the command. Like you see, it is running ralph.md, and let's see what that ralph.md does. So this is something which we wrote in the sense, again, guided by AI. So what we did was we told AI that we need a workflow which I want to follow for all of my projects, and the workflow should be this. I just, in my previous session, I explained the steps, right? I told it this, and it generated this MD file. So just quickly glancing through it, because it's a big file, let's quickly glance through it. And the glance, basically it is saying that, okay, first create the prd.json, right? And then it says that fill the product document, the prd, with maximum detail. Then if it is front end, if the project has a front end, write the front end test cases. Then it, one of the steps is, okay, use codex for verification, that is review. And then finally, not finally, one of the important steps then is, it is saying start ralph in background. And how does it start ralph in background? It is saying use ralph.sh. Sorry, I'm just, yeah, so it says use ralph.sh with all these parameters. Why is this important for all the project managers or team leaders there? We would want to follow a particular guidelines, right? Project guidelines through in all of our projects. Plus, so and we want to ensure that no step is missed. So there we can make use of such MDs. I would recommend that we should have such um, workflows defined so that all the projects that we develop are uniform. And in fact, you do not have to really go ahead and write it. There are some free open source public workflows defined by very like CTOs, putting all their experience into it. I will just give the references in a minute. You can even use that. But if you want to tailor it for your needs, then of course you can go ahead and write such a MD. Basically, ask AI to write such a MD. Now we'll quickly see what the ralph.sh, the main executor at the end, right? So this MD is just giving a set of instructions. First do this, then do this, and then do review, then do this. But you need internally it will use the script to do the actual work. When I say actual work, what it is, when we are doing such a complex project, we really need logs, right? So it defines where should you put the logs, plus where should the code get generated. And you have to, it should be a JIT code or any configuration management you are using. Then it will also, we said we have so many steps, sorry, stories. So it needs to execute those stories one by one in a loop. So all of those details are captured here. But don't be bogged down, I have not written this, it is generated by AI. Such workflows help us a lot in all of the projects, ensuring we are following each one of them. Okay, so for example, when I ran it here, it is saying what's the scope. So you're seeing it is brainstorming with me. Why is it, how is it possible that it is asking these questions? Because in Ralphit we have told that uh, you have to capture all of it in maximum detail based on this template that we have in prd.json. Using that, it is asking me all of these various questions. Okay. Now, this was a complex workflow, but we also need some simple workflows. I would also like to show a simple workflow. Right. So this was for an end-to-end project. But once I have a project, there will be bugs. We cannot. So if when there is a bug or a small enhancements that we need to do, we have defined a different workflow for bugs and small enhancements. The You can see there are only few steps here. Typically, we will for bug workflow, we will say that analyze and provide me the solution. The human will review the solution, and then you implement it. You identify the test cases which are corresponding to that bug. Then you fix the bug, and then you execute those test cases. That is what is the Bugit workflow. So we'll just quickly look at what is the MD and the Bugit SH corresponding to that, to just get a feel of what it involves. Just a minute, I think I did not open that. Okay, so this is that Bugit uh, shell script, which actually is nothing but same ralph.sh with limited steps. Now, how does it? So, how is it that when I put Ralphit, it really starts that workflow? That happens through Claude.md. So, when I tell AI that I need these special commands, like we have named it Bugit, Taskit, Ralphit, what it does is it will add those as command in its Claude MD. What is Claude.md? As soon as I enter Claude code, this is specific to Claude code, right? But each of such CLI tools, Codex will have its own instruction set. So when I enter Claude.code, what it does is it reads this Claude.md. So these are very top level guidelines for it. And if you see here, if I search for Ralphit, you will see that here we have, it knows, okay, if somebody asks me Ralphit, what am I supposed to do? For Ralphit, I need to start looking into ralph.md. If somebody gave task it, I need to look at review and task MD. So at a high level, I just wanted to touch upon these, what are workflows and how you should use these in your project. Just a minute. I was just trying to go to the next page, which is the references. Yeah, so finally it came. So you can go through, these are the two open source workflows defined by, these are in GitHubs. So BMAD and GStack, they are similar. They provide you end-to-end project development workflows. So please feel free to go through it and see if that serves your purpose. I know many of my friends in their projects, they are just using BMAD and it is doing very well for them. So that is all I had, team, for today.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. We'll open the Q&A. I mean, people feel free to raise your hand, and so we can take a couple of questions before we switch to the second part. So maybe we can unmute all. Anybody who wants to ask, please raise a hand.
Sir?
I have unmuted everyone.
Yes.
Whoever has a question, they
Yes,
can
yes.
like say ask them. Otherwise, other people can be on mute, please.
Can you please, can you hear me?
Yes, Pavitra.
Yeah. So this session is very overwhelming because there is so many things happening. I am from a non-engineering background. I'm an academician. I was just looking forward for creating apps which can help my students to learn better. But I was trying to follow what you were telling, but the basic funda is
Ma'am, can
I
you
don't
speak a little louder, ma'am? Sorry, your voice is a little low.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, slightly better. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to know is to navigate from one window to another because there are different windows. Which this is the first time I'm using all these platforms. So navigating this from one window to another is something that I am unable to do. You guys are doing it like pro, and I'm trying to still figure out.
I guess you are referring to the first one, what Sushma ma'am
Yes. Yes.
demonstrated.
Sorry, what windows? Which windows are we talking about?
No. In the first, what is that we opened?
Cursor.
Cursor. Yes. In the cursor, when I opened, I got just the text right side corner bottom. Only that. How do I show it? I've actually sent a photograph to Nandan sir. So I got many prompts asking that should I run this, should I skip this. So all that I didn't know how to do, and I did not see the left window which was opened for Sushma ma'am. So I didn't know how to open all those. I installed it right now.
Ma'am, is it possible to share your screen quickly?
1 second, I'll just give options for them to share.
Okay.
No, I think I'll just switch on my video because I'm listening in one laptop and doing it in another laptop. I'll just switch on my video.
Okay.
Okay, switch on the video, and the other one, I think the disturbance is coming from the fact you are on two these things at the same time.
No, my
One,
another laptop is just doing the job. It is not connected to any. I'm telling
okay.
about this window, which is where I can type in the code and it was running. and I don't have anything else on this side.
Okay. I think you're not able to see the exact this thing, but
Yes.
probably you have to create a new project and then start actually. Maybe create a new folder.
Yeah, that left, there are so many options on the left, right? And also the middle window that is not here.
Sure.
Ma'am, if
Maybe
you click, sorry,
go ahead, ma'am.
so at the top, if you see, there will be view.
View,
Okay.
yes.
In view, maybe I think the explorer is not, you need to enable the explorer.
Explorer, okay. Yes, I got that.
Yeah, now you can see the left panel, right?
Yes,
So
yes, I can see the
yeah,
left.
so left panel is where you will see your folder structure.
Yes. And the one in the middle, once you give the command.
Middle is where mainly, yeah, the work happens. And it's all configurable. So configurable in the sense, yeah, you can.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was speaking. Just to know how this works, which windows to be open, which options to use, is something that I was struggling with.
Sure. So, ma'am, this is a standard thing. Probably you can even also look up in the Google also, or there are so many videos which is available. Our intention is to introduce all these things so that you can explore further and do research on your own. And if there is any specific issues, feel free to come back to us.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, best way is you can ask AI, even Gemini. Gemini has lot of free credits. You can ask Gemini. I am for the first time using this cursor. Tell me how do I open this? What this panel means, and it will explain it to you.
Okay. And the next question is to Nandan sir when he spoke about Jira app. Can I ask that question, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
So if you can see, I just gave to make something, but it is asking me to deploy. Where do I deploy? I don't know.
Okay. NPM, sorry.
Are you able to see my screen, sir?
Yes. Ma'am, these are little specific questions. Maybe after the session, we can help you in solving this.
Okay,
In
sure,
the
no problem.
interest of wider audience, and we have 10 minutes, I'd like to cover a few more topics before we.
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay.
If
Any
I
other
can-
questions, anyone has? Thank you. Okay. If not, I'll just quickly share what we were doing.
Okay, Nandan, you can go ahead.
Okay. So we requested, can you implement the front end? Okay, implement the front end module. It took, it was around 23 minutes ago. It started creating a couple of files and implementation, and I'm able to see this is the generated UI. So it is something like, okay, on a Goa trip, there are 3 people who has gone, let's say Asha, Rahul, and Priya, and in the scooter rental, they have paid 900, and where Rahul paid, and for the dinner, Asha has paid. So they just input their numbers. Overall, here it shows who should owe how much. Like Asha should get 750, and Rahul should get, he has to pay 150 because he has paid total expenses 2,700, so and so, and Priya owes 600. In the same way, you can also say apartment. So this is a mock-up created, like how the UI looks like. Now this is where you can actually refine how my UI should look like for an application. It can be a mobile application. Right now we have generated a web application. Okay. So, and you can add entries, more entries here, maybe during lunch, something, how much it, the backend is not yet ready. So this is where we requested, can you implement the backend also? So it has implemented. When I say backend, there's no need for database, use the in-memory. And now my next request would be, can you integrate both of these two? So that this will be an end-to-end working application. So this is how we, the earlier to do the same task, probably it would have been nearly a month task, running behind a couple of engineers. and explaining, oh, this width should be like this, I want this text. They keep asking so many questions. Now this one assumes so many, most of the basic things and comes up with its own version. Then you can fine tune it and produce the end result much faster than the past. So this is an overall illustration we wanted to touch. And before I close this demonstration, I wanted to touch upon few more small points. So there was this agents.md in the Sushma madam, she had shown a workflow. In that workflow, this was the first file. Okay. Generally, whenever you look at any GitHub repo, there is one readme.md file, which is the instructions for the end users or the developers. Whereas this agents.md is a similar file for the coding agent. So typically we create one for this. And if you are using Claude or any model, it will actually read this and follow the instructions. This is where you can give what are the best practices it has to follow. And also over the time, you can ask it to refine it over the time. You can see there are so many samples. Maybe we can pick up the Java one. Okay, this is one Java example project. Here we are saying, okay, format the code using Gradle, the spotlessly aptly, something. Okay, so that means before you actually commit it, actually invokes this command and reformats the code and run the tests using this. And you're also saying what are the core SDK and so on, so, and clean build. So these are, if I want to do a build and test, it has to follow these instructions. And for testing, you are giving a complete instructions. So this is, before you do a commit, it will follow all these things without you explicitly saying. And we are also saying, okay, if you are going to commit, use this recommendation. This is one of the very popular one. Typically, when I commit a message, I just add one line and push it. Whereas here, this gives a standard line, whereas in the Git log, there is a one-line description versus multi-line. We'll directly jump into one sample one at the bottom. Okay, so you see there's a one-line description followed by a detailed description. So if you ask a developer, write a decent commit message, they will take at least 5 to 10 minutes to think whatever they have done and write it. Whereas I have put this as a rule in my agents.md. Before I commit, can you generate this? It will generate this file in a couple of seconds. So effectively, it saved a lot of time, and it has gone through the code which is inside, which is committed and which you're about to commit. It will do the delta, come back with, this is the exact change you're doing. Okay. So these are all small things during a developer who spends a lot of time or maybe mechanical things, time consuming things, but it will add up over a time to a considerable number of hours. So these things are all automated. So how do we do this? Like, one is you're asking the agents.md to do it. The next level to take it is you actually develop skills. So here there's something called a skill developer. You can see skill creator. So in this, you can actually ask, hey, can you create a skill called, let's say, my commit, or maybe you can give any name in commit where it has to first, maybe let me dictate it. Point number one, first it has to check the code differences between the repo and my local code base. Step number two, create a comprehensive description message and a neat title for commit. Step number three, perform a commit and push it. Step number four, it has to create a Jira pull request with a proper description and a title. Then also add the people listed in my code reviewers file as reviewers. So you see, I have given a couple of steps. These are all the things which we typically do in day-to-day development. And now when I ask it, it will go ahead and create one file, skill called my commit. So next time all I need to say is, can you invoke my commit? So you have automated most of all this tasks. Probably this entire thing would take around 10 to 15 minutes for a developer. Now you just need to ask and it will perform in maybe 1 to 2 minutes. So this is where you save a lot of time. In the same way, you can develop a lot of skills. Basically, you can automate most of the things you are doing, mechanical tasks in your day-to-day development job. And so while this is doing, I just want to touch upon one more concept called automation. So automation is something like a cron job. Every day, so if you are a product manager, you just come here and say, okay, tell me the summary of what all people have committed last 24 hours or last 1 week. This will run a job. It will, I can say, I'll go here, draft a weekly release note from a merged PRs. This is essentially looking at your Git code base on who are all have merged the commits, and it will compile the notes and it comes back to you with the details. So I can select, okay, this should be done weekly, every Friday, 9 o'clock, or maybe on a Monday, every Monday, 9 o'clock. So by the time I log in into my system, 9 o'clock, I start looking at my emails. This has gone through all my code bases, who all has committed in last 1 week, and it will give me a summary of what it is done. Okay, so how wonderful is this? Typically, if you are a program manager or an engineering manager, you have to do this, or many times you don't do it because it's so boring. But you really want to know the insights, and somebody is doing it for you here. In the same way, there is something called code quality. Maybe you can execute the complete test suite and come back with any issues. So this is coming up with a certain set of reports which you can automate or in your day-to-day. Especially this is very important for leaders. And we touched upon something called agents.md. Here we are asking, okay, agents.md is something like a memory of your agent. Whatever it has done, it is capturing it in this file and it keeps updating. Now all I'm asking is update this file, basically upskilling, update this file. Last 1 week, you have seen me what all things I am doing in my coding things. And if there anything new learning, please add it to here. If I run this, it will automatically update this file every week or maybe every day. I mean, I've seen some people doing it every 6 hours. Okay. So these are the certain new set of tools which was not available in the past. And probably if you will do this only if it is pushed, because it takes time and effort. Now these things are available for free for you, and you can do it much faster. Okay, I'll just take a pause here. So I touched upon. Yes, Ramesh. There's a question. Okay, sure. So I'm at the end of the content. It's almost 11:30, and do we have any questions? We'll pause for 30 seconds. Okay, there is one. Okay, if there are no more questions, probably we can go ahead and wrap up this session.
So, thank you, Nandan and Sushma madam. You have done a wonderful job. The session 1, you have explained how it can be AI tool can be used for all other daily day-to-day things. And we got a feedback that we need some basics about the AI, and that was also done by Nandan and Raghavendra. The first session was done by Nandan and Sushma madam. Now this is a session 3, where hands-on tool were beautifully explained by both the experts, Sushma madam and Nandan. I think even the non-software engineers can also understand the way you have explained here, and they can, if they implement them in their their routine works, it may be much useful. And we have one more session, direct session on June 6th, where the experts will explain and teach us. We can ask the directly questions with them and get the clarifications. And if the participants have got any question, they can leave it to us. We will be back to them with the answers. Thank you, Sushma Madam and Nandan, for the beautiful lecture you have given hands-on tool. And also all the participants who have taken part in this and made the event a grand success. Thank you one and all. So please wait for the last session on June 6th. We will send you all the details about that. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be ending the live stream. Thank you.